Welcome back to Nerdy Jock Media, where we are covering, again, Dragon Ball Daima.
Dragon Ball Daima.
Every single week, we're coming at you with a new episode. We watch it, we come here, we record today's episode, episode 10, Ocean. So pop a stamina bug and buckle up because we've got a lot to talk about this episode.
Gosh, yeah, where do we start? We got so much to talk about. Let's just start with our initial reactions to this episode, huh?
Initial reactions.
Yeah.
So initial reaction. Okay, so let's start with positives.
Yeah.
Let's lead with positives.
There's some pretty a lot of positives. I enjoyed this episode actually. So.
I think the biggest positive is that we're seeing that the foot is slowly pressing on the gas pedal a little bit.
Yeah.
It seems like now we are rushing towards the end a little, even though I wouldn't say in this episode they did that. They've implied it's like we're right by Tamagami number 2, so let's just go there right now and just get this stuff done.
Yeah.
So
I mean, overall plot details. We'll get into the plot in just a minute, but I'd say overall I give it a solid B, not a B minus, not a B plus. It's somewhere right in the middle. I really enjoyed it. Not too much action wise happened. I mean, we had the Majin Kuu fight that went, the whole length of the episode. They, like Dragon Ball normally does.
Cutting in, cutting out. Yeah.
That kind of thing. And the fight wasn't that great, actually. I give that fight like a C minus.
Well, the point of that fight was interesting from a director point of view. Tamagami 1 never threw a single attack.
Right.
That whole fight, he grabbed his foot and threw him off at one point, and then he deflected a strike and he flew into the wall. But aside from that, Tamagami 1. He didn't even use his sword, really. He cut up a beam, or something.
He really didn't have to move. He was the perfect stoic anime character who is supremely overpowering this enemy.
Right. He just stood there and just kept appearing behind him,
there.
And that was it. So I mean,
he got full on Majin Kuu like power blast to the face. Didn't get blood. Didn't even leave really dust. I mean, this guy's a lot stronger than I would have to say. We gotta assume that Tamagami 3 that Goku faced was the weakest of the 3, right? We just gotta assume.
We have to assume that, yeah.
It's either that or they're all equivalent strength, which makes no sense to me really.
No, it should scale.
It has to scale, right? Because this Dragon Ball scaling is in the name. Dragon scales. Yeah, that's kind of cool actually. Dragons have scales. But we gotta assume that Tamagami 2 and Tamagami 1 are both stronger than Tamagami 3. And Goku, I guess, did go Super Saiyan 2 for 1 second or a micro minute in the first fight for a second.
Did he go 2?
That's what everyone's been saying online. I really didn't see it, but they say, oh, did you see the blue electricity spark and his hair got a little bit spikier? I'm like, dude, I really think he went 1.
If there's Zappy Zaps at Super Saiyan 2.
But Zappy Zaps make it happen. But
yeah,
I'd have to assume that he's a lot stronger. So this whole Majin Kuu fight, besides the fact that we're setting up a new character that's also going to be used for comedy, which this show Daima is about comedy.
It is, yeah. It was just the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
But the interesting question is
Vegeta fight. Vegeta fight.
The interesting question I have about Kuu though is how strong is he? Is he as strong as Buu was? Because if he was, then he serves the purpose of measuring Tamagami 1's strength.
Exactly.
Tamagami 1 is way stronger than Majin Buu.
For sure.
If he's stronger than Kuu. And I know Kuu is kind of like a jokey sort of, character. He's a joke character at this point. But is he actually as strong as Buu was?
Okay, well, let's put it this way. Dabura got defeated by Buu instantly, right? And Dabura couldn't beat a Tamagami.
Right.
So he's definitely stronger than a Dabura, we don't know his ranking against the Tamagamis. But maybe this is setting up to show, because Vegeta's finally getting some action.
Yes.
I guess this might be why I like the episode, because Vegeta got in there. And speaking of, okay.
They're weird, sort of like, let's meet up and now let's like go our separate ways. We can't give you a ride, sorry. That was weirdly erased by this episode because they got together right away on the Namekian homeworld in Demon World number 2.
I mean, there are definite plotting and pacing issues from the first 10 episodes that we really... There's no point in retreading that territory because the truth is, this episode probably had 2 or 3 episodes worth of backstory and plot that they could have told in any one of those episodes where they retreaded the Gendamari fighting in planes and airships and the hotel hopping. I mean, they could have used one of the scenes here or 2 of the scenes or even 3 of the scenes here in this episode that we'll get to later that did discuss where this plot's going and where the show is and how it connects to the bigger Dragon Ball universe, including Dragon Ball Super.
Hey, one thing that I love is that Goku established that even though he can go Super Saiyan, he's not strong enough to beat a Kraken.
I saw that.
He said that to Vegeta. He said, we're not strong enough right now to defeat these things. So it's like, okay, so it made me think back to Boo. Goten and Trunks obviously could go Super Saiyan, but they weren't as strong as like Goku was when he defeated Frieza. They were like Super Saiyan light. Yeah. So I guess maybe him going Super Saiyan isn't the sort of get out of jail free card I thought it was on our earlier pods. It's like he can transform, but he's still weakened in some degree. So
you know what? Yeah. I think Goku was just trying to be humble in that instance. I think if he went Super Saiyan, he could just do one Kamehameha and explode that Kraken into a million pieces. And maybe eat them. But I did notice that. So maybe you're right there. But I want to tend to believe that the Krakens are just there for like, okay, let's kill a minute here, kill a minute there.
Right. It was a little One Piecey. Yeah. Like One Piecey has a lot of these, One Piecey has a lot of these kinds of monsters that just pop up out of the ocean every now and then, and attack the crew. And even though the crew is super strong, some of these monsters they can't contend with. And I don't know if the purpose of the Kraken was to establish a limitation finally. Right. It's like, we're not strong enough to defeat these things because we're kids, so therefore we're not going to be strong enough to defeat Tamagami's 2 and 1 easily. So
well, DB Guru, just so you know, I wouldn't analyze too hard in this because that's what I realized watching this episode Ocean is not to think too deep into this.
No, you're right.
Because I thought the Majin Kuu, I thought this guy was like, okay, we got a big bad. Now, Dragon Ball is infamous, even from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball Super, to recycling, reusing characters, reusing other characters, making stronger versions of characters from the past, whether it's Cell or Frieza, or, I mean, you name it. Literally everyone has come back at some point. And then we get Majin Kuu. Yeah. Who we were all pretty excited to see, I think, from the Dragon Ball world I've seen online, and was pretty stoked to see it. But universally, everyone kind of knew who Majin Kuu was going to be. Like,
well, the Cyberman thing was the tip of the hand.
That was it.
It was because we posited on the last pod, how can he be strong if he's part Cyberman? Right. And then he gets his ass kicked by Tamagami 1. Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
He got his ass completely destroyed. But the funny thing is, like, I actually kind of like this Majin Kuu character now.
He's funny.
He's a cool character. I was like, you know what? I was pissed at first, okay? So this is my negative about the episode, is that I was frustrated because I want to see a powerful villain arise. I get it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a trope of anime, and it's also a trope of Dragon Ball. So give me at least one of those characters. I mean, or who is it going to be?
But we got it. We got Tamagami 1 as that character.
But they don't count because they don't speak really. They're just there for.
They have no soul.
They're statues. They're statues with power. And I'm like, oh well, Tamagami 3 was when he waved. That was about it. That showed his personality.
Tamagamis are people too, Kevin.
Tamagotchis have more personality than Tamagamis.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah, I raised many of Tamagotchis, and I could defeat many of Tamagamis. No, I don't know. I just have an issue with the fact that we don't have a bigger bad, and the big bads that we have are all pretty. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I keep telling myself. This is not Dragon Ball Z. This is not Dragon Ball Super. This isn't even Dragon Ball. This is Dragon Ball Daima. So
no, my expectation meter, and I don't mean this in a negative way.
It's not negative. It's not negative.
I lowered it significantly because you're right. We've made a lot of predictions, and we've made predictions about a story that we care about the lore of the story. We care about the characters. We care about the history.
I love the history.
And we're like, we're hoping for something. And it was like, it's just not that.
Yeah, it's not.
This is just a fun romp in the demon world. And that's it. Yeah, so you just settle down to there, and it's not that disappointing. Yeah.
I mean, you and I, we just have to look in the mirror before every episode and say, hey, this is just the ride. This is just a journey. Get in the little airship and just go along for the ride. You're cruising. Yeah. That's what it is. I have to just retell myself every episode because I do think my expectations were a little bit high as far as like, the villains or the plotting and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed this episode. So I can't really trash on it because I had a great romp in the Demon World #2 today.
Well, I think that your expectations and everybody's were so high. Yeah. Who had high expectations because Dragon Ball is so good. Yeah. The original Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z. I mean, classic. Like, not even GT could kill that fandom off. Yeah. So, Yeah, we had those expectations, and now I think that we're both on the same page. We kind of don't. We're just here for the fun little romp in the demon world, and then it will be done. And
so we actually just got to give credit to everyone out there watching, and everyone in the world. We've seen you on YouTube. Everyone's been commenting, not just on our pod, but we've seen everyone else's that does Dragon Ball stuff. Is that everyone knew Majin Kuu was going to be weak, right? We knew. I was like, oh God, Cyberman. You say Cyberman, and you know automatically it's like, power level, 20. I mean, he's got power from Buu, but even he got
like 1300. He's like a Raditz.
And he was like, but he was made of like Fat Buu Clado, and Fat Buu is always kind of a goofy kind of character, right? He didn't really get sinister. I mean, he was always strong, but he didn't get really sinister until he became like Super Buu,
Right.
Or Kid Buu. Then he had a little bit of malevolent force behind him. So maybe the fact that it was Fat Buu that they got it from also made him a little more comedic and more friendlier kind of character.
Totally. And to your point, I think there is a universal language that we all sort of share mentally because we've had Dragon Ball in our heads so long. So it's really been fun to see the ubiquity of the takes online. The JRPG take, Majin Kuu's gonna suck,
right?
All of that stuff. I think everybody just has that DNA in their head. So they're like, oh, well, of course this is what's going to happen.
And it's good. It's good to see that we're all at least enjoying the ride together, and we all can just kind of laugh together about that. We're like, oh yeah, Cyberman, we this is going to be a disaster. Right. And we all watch, and we all kind of get back online the next day and see what everyone's saying. And
this was something that Toriyama thought would be funny. Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm going to set up Majin Kuu, but I'm going to put a Cyberman in there, and he's going to be an idiot, and he's going to not be as strong as Tamagami. So.
I mean, as much as we have been giving it a little bit of grief about the plot and plotting, at least in a way, this is kind of a twist. My mind told me, hey, you should expect him to be an idiot, but also he could be Majin Buu-ish. And then it didn't happen. And he was exactly who you thought it was going to be. So at least he sets those out there. He might not give you the apple, but he's going to pull it back, or the carrot, whatever kind of metaphor you want to make. But at least it's out there. I was excited to see it. And even though it wasn't what I was expecting, or actually it was what I was expecting. It wasn't what I wanted. But I still enjoy the character now, so that's my take on Kuu.
Right. I mean, and he had that funny line where Arinsu says, "You're fired. You're such a disappointment." He's like, "Hey, don't be like that. He was just really strong. Yeah. I'm strong too. I'm also a really good singer. I'm useful for getting groceries,
and I can go shopping." I'm like, dude, I was like, you know what? I was like, let's spend some more time with Majin Kuu. He maybe he could have his own Demon World travel show where he goes hotel shopping and tastes the fare and does singing at the karaoke bar.
Right. Yeah.
You know what? Sign me up for whenever they just want to do another Border Patrol Gundam Marine plot. Just like give me Majin Kuu doing karaoke or shopping and cooking delicious dishes.
For sure.
Like that. I think I'd enjoy that. Very much so.
All right, let's get into the plot.
Let's get into the plot. So we got some crazy stuff happening here straight off from the beginning. Vegeta is getting soft, Dan. Vegeta's getting soft.
He stood up for himself. Hybis is just a horny creep.
Yeah, Hybis, that Teletubby ass dude. He went straight for Bulma, right with Vegeta right there.
He went for first grader Bulma.
Yeah.
Which is, that's saying something. That's a little creepy in and of itself.
I mean, Bulma's still, in my mind though, Bulma's still kind of older Bulma, just like Vegeta and Piccolo. Right. Goku's the only one personality-wise that I feel like, okay, he totally imbues that youthfulness.
For us, for sure. But to Hybis, he doesn't know. So he's just being a creep.
I don't know. He was talking about big boobs, or I guess Hybis likes small boobs too.
Yeah, I mean, well, apparently Vegeta likes big boobs.
Yeah, Vegeta likes big boobs.
Piccolo called him out. Yeah. Piccolo was like, oh, well, you saying that means that's true or whatever. And it's like, it's funny that's a point of shame for Vegeta. Like, he can't admit that he likes big boobs.
I know. Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed about there, Vegeta. But also, Hybis just straight up said, hey, you could be my girlfriend. And Vegeta's like, she's married to me, you idiot. And he's like, hey, I don't
Doesn't
care.
Matter.
Doesn't matter. I'm like, dang. Trying to cuck Vegeta right there. I was like, that's terrible. So, and Vegeta.
Well, they don't need him anymore. They could have just kicked him out of the plane because later on, Glorio takes over piloting duty.
Hybis is pretty. He's got some good bits in there, but like Vegeta, Majin Buu Saga Vegeta would have smacked his ass, would have slapped him in the face, at least gave him a slap. But he just did a funny joke. He was like, oh, I'm pissed off, but not really.
Well, what was weird is that there was this whole setup for a zombie forest in the last episode, and it was completely glossed over. Like they didn't go to the zombie forest; they were just back in their plane, which I think had been like stolen, but they got it back.
Yeah,
I don't know if it had been disabled the way that Glorio's was. But
I think this is where they curiously just gave the line like, "Oh, glad we got our plane back." Like they said one line, and that was it. And I should have taken notes on that because I remember that. But this is just another example of like when they were making Daima, I think they had a storyboard that had this, and this, and they're like, we're just gonna go this route here. Because maybe zombies, it would have been hard to animate, but I would like to see a cool Piccolo, Vegeta, zombie fight sequence. I mean, that would have worked, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm grateful that they didn't do it for time's sake, because it's like we gotta get cooking, guys. Like we gotta. At least they're fighting Tamagami 2 in the next episode. So it's like, okay, we burnt so many episodes just on exposition, on just like meeting up here, doing this. And this episode is also that. It's also that. But at least they're getting the Tamagami 2 in episode...
Or they give us some sprinkles here. You know,
was this 10 or 11? I forget.
This is 10.
This is 10. All right,
10,
okay. So
we're halfway through.
We're halfway through, and we're about to fight the second Tamagami. Exactly. So I'm feeling a little bit hopeful now about us having only one season of Daima.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next episode with Vegeta there. We'll get there in a second. We still got actually a lot of plot to get through here.
Right.
So, we talked about Goku fighting getting out of the Kraken's mouth, saving the Dragon Ball. That's happened a million times.
Well, first, like
that even happened in Dragon Ball Z on Namek.
They have that Warp Sama moment.
Yeah.
And this, I gotta say, I've never felt more like Goku in my whole life than watching this episode, because in this episode it comes back around. In this episode, primarily what he is doing is just telling Kaioshin to shut up. It's like they're going through Warp Sama, and then they're like, hey, we're in a Gendermari plane. Kaioshin says this. We're in a Gendermari plane. Why don't we just go to Demon World 1? Goku's like, because you forgot what the story was, dumbass. Like, we have to get the Dragon Balls. It's like, what's wrong with you? Gotta get the Dragon Balls to save Dende. It's like, why did you even ask that question, idiot? It's just, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a cool moment. And, and then we went back to Vegeta. We just talked about that one as well. And then they go back. Then we get some more of the Majin Kuu fight. And we get a cool little action sequence. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't
the best for this show, but it was pretty good. Yeah, it was still pretty well animated.
Honestly, in my mind, I think they just gave him some moves. I think Majin Kuu was created in a lot of ways to be a downloadable character on like Dragon Ball Z Fighter and Sparking Zero.
Yeah.
Like, because he's like, okay, he does a twisting corkscrew attack, kind of like an M. Bison move.
He's kind of the Dan from Street Fighter of the Dragon Ball universe.
He had some very acrobatic, very aerial-esque acrobatic kind of acro silky moves as well. Very he could fly and twirl pretty amazingly. I don't know how powerful that is, but it would look good in a video game. So
acro silky, a reference to Dan, which we are covering on a separate pod. If you're not watching Dan, watch it and check out our Dan.
Because it is awesome. Yeah, good little plug there. And then so that fight, we realized Tamagami is super powerful, and that was that. But I guess we should get to the most important part of the plot. Was they did a lot of explanation of the backstory of the demon world and the creator of the demon universes.
Well, this
actually maybe all universes.
This was the other part where I just loved Goku so much because the second he got a whiff of Kaioshin about to do some long exposition, he's like, "Nah, we don't need to hear that."
Yeah.
He shuts him down.
He said no one wants to hear that. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Actually, I laughed pretty hard on that because that's Goku being Goku. Just like
He's like, "Can we just go fight the robot, please? Can we just give the people what they want?"
Tactless Goku. Yeah. Give us another fight like Tamagami 3, and then I'll be happy again. But we are trucking along here. We do realize now. Halfway through this episode, we realize now, because of Majin Kuu and where it's going and the plot progression now, that they're just pushing. I mean, this episode opened, rewind. This episode opened straight from the introduction of the fight with Majin Kuu.
Right.
We assumed, or I assumed, which dumb idea. I assumed that it was going to be like 3 episodes before he even, Majin Kuu gets to the Tamagami, just like it's been for Goku and them. Nope. Thank you, actually, Toei and Akira Toriyama for just doing it. Thanks for just zapping him there. We don't need him traveling to get to the damn Tamagami. Let's see him get his ass whooped.
It was actually at the beginning, whereas what we complained about the last episode was how they set up Majin Kuu.
Yeah.
They were talking about Majin Kuu in episode, I think, 8.
Right.
And then they waited all the way until the end of episode 9 to show Majin Kuu. And it was just like, God, just do it at the beginning.
And then the beginning of episode 10 is where they open with it. So, like, I mean, I have issues with the plotting of the show, like as far as the story structure, I really do. I think that's probably my biggest complaint about the show.
Maybe the problem was because we don't know what happened behind the scenes.
Right.
Maybe Toei was like, okay, a 20 episode order. And Toriyama didn't write scripts. He did what he did for Super, where he wrote an outline. Like, this happens, and this happens, and this happens, or whatever. And like maybe some little bits here and there, some jokes and stuff like that. And then they hand it to a bunch of writers, and they're like, okay, fill 20 episodes with this.
Okay.
And they're like, we're gonna definitely need some episodes where people are just sitting around talking, because that's a lot.
I mean, this is all speculation, but I gotta assume he probably had a 10 episode outline. Or like a new 10 to 12 or 13, like a normal season of anime at this point, besides like JJK. I mean, there are a few that do, still do 20 to 24 episodes a season, but I mean, there's, like the Demon Slayers of the world, they're all 10 episodes and stuff like that. Or,
right.
Or they take breaks.
I missed the days when it was like 26. It was always like 26 and the story was told across that, but whatever the case, now that we're at the midpoint, they're actually like cooking. We're getting to Tamagami 2 next episode.
We're kind of moving forward.
Vegeta gets the fight.
Thank
Vegeta,
goodness.
fan favorite. Everybody loves Vegeta. We're going to see what he can do against Tamagami number 2. That was an unintentional rhyme.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well, so that's basically what happened in this episode. But let's talk a little bit about the history.
The creation of all the universes.
All the universes.
Right.
Now, I'm not 100% sure here, because me and Dan were talking pre-pod about this, but I assume that the Xeno from Super created the Earth universes, like the 7 stuff. But evidently, from this Dragon Ball episode of Dragon Ball Daima, Nahara explains in detail
Really quick, don't mean to interrupt. I was wrong. Nahare came back in full force. I think I made some kind of bet with you. I have to look that up.
I think I said that pizza or something.
I didn't think that. I didn't think that they were ever. Yeah, gluten-free pizza. Right. I owe you a gluten-free pizza. I didn't think they were going to bring it up. But sorry. Yes, the creation of the universes. Right. Xeno. That was the track you were on before I interrupted.
Well, no. I mean, I was actually hoping you would elaborate a little more here, but because you have a different take on it. But I just assumed that all the demon universes, maybe they expanded into the other universes, but there's like a Rimus from Dragon Ball Daima. There's like Xeno from Dragon Ball Super. And maybe there's even another creator for another 100 million universes. So I just think it's funny to me because they said this, that Arbora, they talked about Arbora, Darbra's successor Demon King, and they talked about how the Glens were all from the trees, which we know before. So I think that's going to play a part.
And then the trees died.
The trees died.
Arbitrarily.
I'm thinking, like, why can't we just use a Dragon Ball and make some more Glen trees to create some more Glens? There's only like 100 left. But they all evidently migrated during the Great Demon Migration, and they were chosen by Rimus, the creator of the Daima world, and evidently almost every universe as well.
Well, I think Rimus is like Xeno's ancestor because he had the same clothes.
Yeah, no, they were very similar.
Yeah, he was the same stature, same clothes. He had like a Hitler mustache.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
It was a little different. Yeah. So I guess like Xeno and his ilk, they have a lifespan.
Yeah,
is what we're establishing. But it seemed to me, and this is where we were confused and where we were diverging a little bit. It seems to me like what Daima is positing is that the demon world was first, and then every other universe was created after that.
Yeah.
And then all of the Glens were sent to rule those universes, which answers the question.
Kais.
Which answers the question that I had. It's like, well, that about like how do all the other universes have a Glen as their Supreme Kai? And it's it's because they were literally like the universes were created and they're like, okay, all the Glens go and be Supreme Kais there. So
and they seem to be, unless they're bad, they're good. But I mean, because we had a couple of bad ones in Dragon Ball Super.
I don't think it matters because if everything in existence in Dragon Ball comes initially from the demon world, then who cares? Yeah. It's like, you could have a bad universe creator god, you can have a good universe creator god, whatever.
But true. I guess like the 3 most important takeaways from this episode, though, as far as the backstory, is that we know that they're connecting Daima to Dragon Ball Super now.
Right.
Like they are actually making some crystal clear yellow brick road pathways to connect the universes together, so we can get that fully fleshed out Dragon Ball universe, and it's still expanding, is what we're finding out.
Right.
I have predictions for the future. I think Rymus is going to play a part eventually. I don't know, maybe not in this series, but he might be in Super. So I'm hoping they use some of these characters from Daima that haven't been fleshed out, and they can pull them over to the next universe in Super. Even though we know a couple arcs forward, they're going to continue Super going forward for the foreseeable future.
I think Rymus is dead. I think he pooped out his little Xeno baby boy, and he's like, "All right, Xeno, you are the leader of the universe. The universe is now. Go ahead."
You know what, DK? You've been wrong on every prediction, so he's probably alive and well, and to be in the next episode.
Just kidding. It's probably true.
No. Okay.
I'm hanging up the DB Guru hat.
No, you're no.
I'm hanging it up, guys.
No, you're one of the best.
I passed the baton to somebody else.
No.
Yeah.
No, but DK, let me say one more thing. I thought it was so funny here. Another pointless moment here is they go to this planet Namek, like the original Namek, right?
Which we did predict.
We predicted.
We're like, okay, we're gonna go to Demon World 2.
Piccolo's got to see where he's from.
Yeah, and it's gonna look just like Planet Namek. Yeah.
And they took this really good moment where they saw this all decrepit, just like Planet Namek, but like no one's lived there. It's been deserted for hundreds of years, maybe thousands, millions of years, probably. And then they're like, oh yeah. How's it feel, Piccolo? And Piccolo's like, dude, he's like, I was born in Dragon Ball from an egg on Earth. Like, I haven't been here. I don't know shit about this planet.
It's like my dad was from here. And I had questions about that. I was like, did he mean Piccolo Daima, or did he mean the original Namekian that Piccolo Daima and Kami were that person's dad? Because Guru, or the like eldest Namek or whatever, he made reference to the son of something or other in the Namekian saga. It's like, oh yeah, like the son of something or other. Oh, so he's the god of Earth. So we know Piccolo's father's name. I'm sorry, it's not off the top of my head right now, but I had questions about that. I was like, who is he talking about? Like,
I don't know. We'll see in Dragon Ball spinoff, Dragon Ball Namekians, and they'll just make a whole show about that backstory. Because now we're getting the demon backstory. We spent a whole season on Namek, so I don't know what else I need to explain. But it was funny that once again, 3 times in this show, they brought up a plot point and they said, oh, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Goku with Nahare, Bulma as well with Nahare, or talking about the Supreme Kai stuff, and then now again with Piccolo, them mentioning his planet. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but that's about it for me. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think next episode is going to be pretty fantastic. I mean, like,
I think we're gonna get some good animation next episode. I mean, everyone's stoked to see Vegeta finally in the game. I want to see my boy Piccolo do some stuff.
Yeah, I'm ready for Piccolo to get,
because they brought him. It's like, come on, like let Piccolo have a fight.
Yeah, and Piccolo had like maybe 2 lines this episode. I mean, he's never been a huge talker. But like, you expect him to have a couple more lines here or there, or give him a little more involved in the action too. DK.
He's just kind of like negged Vegeta a little bit. He's just like, and then he said that he wasn't from this world, and he's like, oh, this world is familiar. But we also have this little Easter egg at the end of the episode where, as they are leaving to go fight Tamagami number 2, we see the old Namekian who was responsible for the events of Daima.
Neva the
Namek. He was walking towards their ship and kind of smiling.
Yeah, and that dude that was a diabolical laugh he had. He was like,
right.
Also, so you knew it wasn't good.
One thing that I thought was weird, but again, I'm not going to judge this show too harshly. Like, we know what this show is at this point.
Now it's firm. We firmly know what the show is, and now our expectations, we're gonna enjoy a lot more of it now,
right?
Because we know what to expect, or what
right. Well, we had this fight with the Gendamari where they attacked Glorio's ship. Goku jumps out and uses the Nyoibo to like smash all the ships up and stuff like that. And Goma's watching this. Goma's now watching them like Big Brother on candid camera. Mm-hmm. And after that defeat, rather than be like, send the entirety of my force right now to wipe them out, he's like,
Demon World 1.
Yeah, he's like, send them to Demon World 1.
Be there before they get there.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Demon World 1, sure, all right.
Yeah, if you want all your men to be destroyed in a fruitless battle, then sure, go for it.
This is shaping up to have, in my mind, visuals more like Curse of the Blood Rubies, which this show has also echoed in different ways, where there's just going to be like a fleet of airplanes shooting at Goku as he's like running up a castle, and it's just like and stuff like that. So it was
okay, but I have one last question here. I know we're about to wrap up here, but what what or who is the big bad of Dragon Ball Daima? Is there going to be a big bad, or is everyone just going to be a comedic character?
Is it going to be Glorio?
Is it going to be? Is
Glorio his sick sister? Yeah. I'm not giving up on that prediction.
Is he going to? Yes. Is he going to use the Dragon Balls to? I don't know. I mean,
yeah, because Goma is useless. Arinsu's useless. What's his face? I always
Daigasu.
Yeah, I always forget his name. But he might be like the Glenn from Super, right. The one who went evil, whose name escapes me right now because I'm not as versed in Super.
No, I can't remember his name.
The one who Zamasu. Yeah, who fused with Goku Black. Yeah, he might be like Zamasu, or he might just be like he might have a secret plot.
Yeah.
But yeah, at this point, we don't know who the big bad of this show is because all the like evil plots have been kind of snipped a little bit.
And it's very much just like there's a part of me that does, and I'm gonna wrap it up here in just a second. But there's a part of me that thinks like, hey, we're gonna write more like Daima. We're gonna do a 40th anniversary, but we're also gonna try to like open this up to a new generation of Dragon Ball fans, like even younger. I think they are aiming, even though it says 12 plus in Crunchyroll. I really do feel like they are aiming for a younger audience, more like 7, 8, 9, 10. Like even though it's a ton of us otakus watching, the whole world actually. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the energy, the feel, the vibe, not just because they are chibi form, but I feel like they are going a lot very, very lighthearted. Even Dragon Ball was a bit darker than this, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know what its air slot is in Japan, right. but I know that these types of stories, like One Piece in particular, like it's a show that the entire family watches together.
Right.
The whole family gets together to watch One Piece every week. And maybe, the point of this was like, let's give families something to watch so that adults who are children who grew up with this, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, what have you, can like bring their kids into this. And it's like, look, there's a character who looks like you. And he's strong, so he's someone you can aspire to be like, or something like that. So I think it's like a family show,
or a family show, and I get that. So like I'm just enjoying the ride. So that's basically it. So good episode, I guess.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, fine episode.
Fine episode.
Ocean was good, and look forward to the next one. It's called, what was the next one called? Oh, I can't remember. I forgot. I just watched it again.
We just watched it.
But it's Vegeta fighting a Tamagami.
Yeah, so that's the name of the episode. Awesome. Tune in next week as we cover Vegeta fighting a Tamagami, our last episode before Christmas. Yeah. So that will be our Christmas special.
We have a little break. I think next week we're also going to do a ranking of the first 10 episodes.
Yeah, I think so.
We're just going to put that out there right now, so we're going to hold ourselves to it. We're going to rank the top 10 in order, and I don't think it's going to be that hard, Dan.
I don't think so either. We're gonna write them down. We're gonna put them in a tier list. We're gonna do that. We'll see if we can do it live on the green screen with the laptop.
Yeah, we'll bring the
laptop. Just like slide it in and stuff like that. Yeah.
We'll do that. So
we'll be doing that. But everyone, thank you for tuning in.
Remember,
like, subscribe.
All of the sites we'll have here on the green screen. Follow us. We're appreciative of all the subscribers. Just keep watching, keep sharing, and we'll see you next time on Dragon Ball Daima Pod.
Os!
All right.
Boom.